Hi there, everyone. I have been working on this corner of a sunflower, and I didn't want to bore you with a bunch of videos with me cutting and grinding and foiling, but I do want to touch on doing some zinc framing. And I'm going to finish getting this put together, and I'm going to solder it. I've got to look at my pattern here to see what goes where. Let me finish putting this together. All right, number 8. And 6, 4, and 2 goes up here. It went together pretty easy. When I traced it out in sections. Like I traced this out together, and I believe these then, and then they were easy. Didn't have to do a lot of cutting, excess cutting, tracing them out, and then cutting and separating them. All right, what piece is that? 7. And you can tell I kind of number in order. I thought I had somebody knocking on the door, but there's no one there. I'm going to get this soldered and both sides, and I'm going to come back and have you watch me put some zinc on the 2 straight edges. So I will be back in a little bit once I have this soldered on both sides. All right, I'm back. I've got the sunflower soldered. I didn't do anything on the straight edges. I did bead around the petals of the flower. And I also got my light zinc cut, and I mitered where the corner comes together. I want to show you this little hacksaw and miter box I purchased. I got it on Amazon, and I'm pretty pleased with it. And here it is. It's just a tiny little miter box that works out fine for light cane. And here's the saw. It does come with quite a few replacement blades. Quite a few. All right. When I know I have something I'm going to frame, I stay away from the edge that's going to have, excuse me, the frame, because I don't want any drips. And I try to stay away when I'm beading, excuse me, because any high beads can get in the way. So we want to stay away from any drip overs and any beads towards the edge. Now it is simple to solder the zinc on. Let me get this in place. I gotta have a better look at my corner here. All right. And you can see what I mean by beads that are close to the edge. They can get in the way. And if you had any drips, you're not going to get a tight fit. All right, I'm just going to have that sit there. Let me get my other side. All right. I'll make sure that goes in tight. And let me have a look at my corner. All right. Now I know how they're going to come together. And like with any metal, metal conducts heat. But I need to flux where we're going to drop some solder at those points. You do that. Keep my fingers out of the way. All you need is a dot. You can go in and the zinc is already conducting the heat. It's getting warm. All right, there's that. All right. All right, I'm going to turn this. You could do a straight cut if you want to. I like doing miters because if you did a straight cut, I'll show you on the end here, but you're gonna have an opening of the width of that zinc, where if you have a miter, you're gonna have it closed all the way around that corner. And I can't remember if I fluxed that. So. All right. Okay. Come around. All right, now we're just left with the ends. And we do need to do the other side as well. Let's do the other side, where the zinc meets up with the seams. And we need some on our miter. All right. See, now if we did a straight cut rather than a miter, we'd have a gap from here to here that we would need to cover. But with this, we just have a little bit we need to go over. Okay. We still need to attach down here. And we're just going to attach the zinc to the foil with a little bead. Now, let's focus on this side, and then we'll flip it over. All right. And I'll adjust my camera when we need to lift it up and do some solder on the end of that. All right, let me lift this up a little so you can see what I'm trying to do here. It looks like it is covered pretty well from where we did the sides. Let me just touch it up. All right, let's look at the other side. I know there's some artists out there that don't foil the edges of the glass where they know they're going to cover it with lead or zinc or something. I've always foiled all my glass all the way around. Now, if we didn't foil this on the outside edge, we wouldn't have any place to attach that zinc. So please keep that in mind. I've always foiled all of my pieces, and I know some people, I've always foiled the outside edges. And I know some people don't like to because they're afraid of the foil showing under their zinc or their lead. If you have your foil on center, you're not going to have an issue. See, you can't see where my foil is under there. So as long as you foil it properly, it's not going to be an issue. All right, I think I did all right here. Now I need to figure out, I made this to hang like this in the corner. So I need to figure out where I want to put my hooks. Towards the corner and then down here. I don't think I want it on the tip, but I think here and over here. So then it can be hung either in a corner of a window or maybe a doorway that doesn't have a door, you know, a pass through. That'd be a nice decoration for that. All right, and I am leaving it silver. All right, let me get a couple jump rings. And my pliers. All right. And pardon me when I almost lost my voice. I don't know what was going on there, but now my nose is running. I've got the windows open. It's a nice day here in Northwest Ohio. I think our high is about 75. After all the heat we had, I'm glad to be have the windows opened up again. All right. I believe I'm going to put my hooks on the back side. I don't want to do it on the very edge, but I'm going to solder it like this on the edge, back edge, just a little ways away from the corner. It could be hung by a nail. I want to leave enough room for the hook to catch a nail, or maybe a cup hook. And remember, we got to hold our hook still while the solder sets. All right. And of course, putting hooks on is always a bunch of fun. Holding it still with one hand. All right now. And I'm going to have to move that so I can see better. Move it down here a little bit. Hold it still. I want some more solder on there. You sucker. All right. Let me readjust. And of course, my ring is hot now. try this again. And when I've had helpers in my workroom, they see me struggling. Oh, can I hold it? Can I help? Well, it's nice to have help once in a while, but for the most part, aren't we usually alone when we're doing our work? And I usually say thanks, but if you weren't here, I'd have to do it myself. So that is so much better. All right. All right, let's see how we did. I think that turned out pretty well. I'm gonna come up here and hopefully not drop those rings, but I want to put a little bit of solder. All right, come here, solder. I want to put some up here. There. I added some solder right there. Sorry, I was out of the screenshot. I'll get this one shot here. Show you what I was doing. There. See what I did? I got a little bit of solder up there. We can smooth that out. All right. Not smoothing that out a little too. All right. Check for any sharp points in the solder. Yeah, that's still warm. But before you say you're done soldering, always make sure you give it a feel. You don't want any sharp burrs from the solder. Maybe we lifted up the iron and it left a little sharp edge of solder. We don't want whoever is going to purchase this or who we're going to give it to end up touching it and hurting themselves. So we want to make sure everything's smooth. There you have it. I put together this sunflower corner, and I showed you how to use zinc cane. I hope you learned a little bit. I know it wasn't a very detailed lesson, but you can see how this gives it a nice finished edge rather than just having it having a copper foiled edge. And don't be afraid to try and use zinc cane. The next time I work with some lead or maybe some wider zinc, I'll do another video. So stay tuned. Please subscribe. Thanks so much. Bye.